Hello, today we're going to be taking a look at this, the Kotobukiya Zero Two figure, retail price about $100, and we're going to be comparing this with this. This is also a Zero Two figure, but this is the bootleg version of the figure, so it's not official by Kotobukiya. This one is a fake, but this one costs just $24. So how does this stack up with the real thing? Well, let's find out. Alright, so first up we're taking a look at the real, genuine figure, and wow, I really like it. So the first thing that really stands out to me is that they did a good job at making the bodysuit reflective. That's something that even the anime can't really do well because you can't really put in reflections like that in animation, but in real life, this thing looks awesome. Just the amount of detail and shading done to her is pretty awesome. And they even shaded her torso, like you could see the left and right sides of her torso are shaded a bit darker, and that makes her look thinner. So there's the fashion tip of the day for you guys out there. Also, I noticed that the white accents on her bodysuit, they're not white, they're like cream colored. And that's the one thing that kind of threw me off a little bit because I'm pretty sure it's more supposed to be white than cream. I think if they made that a little bit whiter, it would have been better. But overall, it's not too distracting. Her face is pretty well done, and I think they did a pretty good job at making this kind of like neutral expression on her face. It's kind of hard to do with like anime figures doing closed mouths, because like when an anime person closes their mouth, this just becomes like a line. Here in this case, they did it just good enough so that you can tell that she has a mouth, but it doesn't look that weird. She just kind of has this kind of like somber, like neutral expression on her. And unfortunately, one thing that really stands out is that her hair mold, you can see there's like a seam line running across the front over there. And it runs all the way across the top of her head as well. So it's not even like, you can't even pass it off as just like hair detail. So unfortunately, they couldn't really blend that in together. But as long as you're not looking at her from the top, it's not really noticeable. Overall, I really do like it. And I think it does actually show in the details the amount of work they put into it. The closer you look at it, the better it gets. Like even these little like edges of her like hood, the very edges of these are actually a little bit darker. Like they airbrushed these a little bit black, so it looks even more realistic, I guess. So there's tons of small details like that built into it. Even all the way down at her base, these lines over here, these are airbrushed, so they have more detail into them. Overall, as a $100 figure, I gotta say it's pretty nice. I like it. But now that we're done with that, let's take a look at the $24 figure. So here is the bootleg figure, and oh no. Oh no, 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 no. No. This, no, that, oh, no, 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 this is not good, not good at all. Maybe at first glance it can pass off as okay, but just any further and you can immediately tell something is definitely very wrong with it. So first of all, the plastic on it, it's quite obviously plastic and it's not even painted in a lot of parts. Like right around here, that is just plain bare plastic. It's not shiny and glossy. They didn't even paint it red. Like it's just red molded plastic. They did try to add the highlights in, the small details, but like you can see that on her leg. It's just like they just splotched some airbrushed black paint on there. They didn't actually fill in the fine details. Her hair, she's supposed to be like pulling it back behind her ear, which is like a really normal, natural thing to do, but they forgot to thread her hair through her arm. My camera even refuses to focus on her, but you can see on the real figure, the hair is threaded through her arm and over her shoulder, and it looks very natural, like she's just pulling her hair back. That looks pretty darn good. But on the bootleg figure, of course, it's like floating above her hand. which looks kind of bizarre, and it's just like they didn't thread her hair through her arm when they assembled her, and you can't do it afterwards because this is just gonna snap off if I try to put it in there. So that's just like an assembly mistake, I guess. Speaking of her hair, she looks okay from this angle. Like when you see it on the shelf, she's like positioned like this, so it looks okay. But then in real life, you like turn it around and it's just like, what is that? She's graying. She's getting old. Yeah, so they didn't put enough pink paint. Is this pink paint, or is that like, did they try to add black highlights? I'm not sure, but it looks kind of terrible. Like her hair has this kind of like gray tinge to it, and it's only at this back half. Like her front half is completely fine, it's normal pink, and then the back half is just gray. And that is not present at all on the normal real version. It's a nice natural pink. So yeah, no idea why they decided to make the back half of her hair like gray, but that's how it is. Next up, for her hood on her pilot suit, on the official version, it's supposed to look like this nice like cushioned padding kind of thing, and so they added some nice little shading details there. That looks pretty decent. But on the bootleg, they tried to recreate that, and it just kind of looks like someone peed in there. Like they made it way too yellow, and it just looks stained and wrong. It doesn't look right. For the base that she's sitting on, the official one, there's a lot of thought put into it, and it's made of multiple pieces. There's this like dark gray shiny piece, there's this white shiny piece on the outside, and there's this matte bluish piece over here. These are all like separate pieces, and so the color separation is perfect because, well, they're separate pieces. But on the bootleg, they decided to cheap out and mold it all out of a single piece of plastic, and it really shows because the paint they used to separate it, it doesn't look that great. They didn't even attempt to make the leg holes a different color than the other parts. It's all just a single piece of plastic. Yeah, it doesn't look that good. I think from the back here, you can see the biggest difference just in how much detail they put in the bodysuit. So first of all, this isn't like, the bootleg isn't a perfect copy. They definitely messed with the proportions a little bit, like she's sitting a bit shorter. Like this one is definitely like some cheap plastic, and this one is nicely finished. The paint application on this is a lot better. There's lots of nice fine detail, while they didn't really even try with this one over here. On the real one, the color on her face is more natural, while on the fake one, it's quite obviously plastic. So you can see it has this kind of pale plasticky shine to it, like a Barbie or something. While on the real one, they did take the care to make her face very matte, so it doesn't like reflect light as much. So you can see the huge difference between her face and the bodysuit. So the bodysuit, very reflective, face should be nice and soft and non-reflective. So they nailed that right there. But on the bootleg, it shines like a Barbie doll. So now let's just take a step back and look at it from farther away, and it's passable. The fake one, it gets harder and harder to tell the difference the further away you get. But if you just get any like remotely closer to it, like the difference is immediate. Like there's just so much more detail on the real one. It's just more well done. The colors on the real one, they just kind of pop, and the fake one, it's really apparent it's just a piece of plastic. Oh, and another thing I just noticed, with the fake one, you can't display it from this position because it's missing this cover piece on the cockpit. The real one, it's all nice and covered, so you can't see the bottom. But on the fake one, they forgot to, or they just chose not to put the cover on it. So yeah, there's a huge difference right there as well. And now that you can see them side by side, yeah, definitely go with the real one. You get what you pay for. This one is $100. This one is $24. There's a huge difference between them. So if you can, definitely spring for the real one because there's definitely a big difference between them. So overall, if you get what you pay for, if you spend $100 on a figure, you'll get $100 worth figure. If you spend $24 on a figure, you're gonna get a $24 level figure. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video because I have another Kotobukiya figure to show you all.